Imagine discovering that your favorite local independent brand was actually secretly bought out years ago by some massive global conglomerate.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and they didn't even tell anyone.
Right. They didn't announce it at all. They just, quietly kept the old logo on the packaging specifically to trick you into continuing to buy it.
It's manipulative, for sure.
It really is. And today we're looking at what happens when that exact hostile corporate takeover strategy is used not in the business world, but as a weapon in a high-stakes political election.
Which completely upends how we think about voting, right?
Yeah.
Because you assume you are choosing a candidate based on local issues, but this rhetoric forces you to wonder if you're actually just handing over the keys to an outside monopoly.
Exactly. That is the central tension we are exploring today. So welcome to the deep dive. We are thrilled you're here with us. Today, we're focusing on a single fascinating news report by Aloysius Xavier Lopez filed from Chennai.
And it is just a remarkable piece of reporting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it captures a very specific moment in regional Indian politics, but the psychological strategies on display are incredibly universal.
They really are. So our mission today is to take this report, which details this major campaign meeting featuring Aam Aadmi Party leader Arvind Kejriwal and local chief minister M.K. Stalin, and really break down the political rhetoric, the campaign strategies, and the intense warnings being delivered to the voters.
Yeah, we're getting right into the mechanics of it.
Precisely. And most importantly, our goal for this deep dive is to make these incredibly complex political maneuvers very simple to understand. We are cutting through all the jargon for you.
Though, a quick note for you before I dive into that machinery. This report features some incredibly fiery rhetoric.
Oh, yeah. Very intense.
You're going to hear us quote words like fascist and claims about politicians intending to loot the people.
Right, which brings up a very important point. Just to be absolutely clear, we are not taking sides here.
Leslie not.
We are neutrally reporting on the rhetoric and the strategies used in the source material. We are completely impartial, and we are not endorsing the viewpoints or the intense accusations made by the politicians mentioned. We're just looking at the playbook.
Yeah, we're basically just mechanics looking under the hood of a political engine.
Perfect way to put it. Okay, let's unpack this. We need to set the scene first because, in politics, the geography and the optics matter just as much as the words being spoken.
Oh, absolutely. Location is everything.
Right. So we are at Pulianthope Junction. This is in Chennai's Egmore constituency, and the report specifically notes that this is an SC constituency, which stands for Scheduled Caste.
And that demographic detail is crucial for understanding the context of the messaging here.
How so?
Well, in the Indian political system, scheduled caste constituencies are areas reserved for historically marginalized communities. So the messaging delivered here, it isn't an accident.
Right. It's highly targeted.
Exactly. It's meticulously tailored for a demographic where state welfare, equity programs, and civil rights protection are quite literally survival tools. The stakes in these neighborhoods are very tangible.
And the visual on the stage completely reflects those stakes. You have Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, who is the local powerhouse leader from the DMK party, sharing a stage and campaigning alongside Arvind Kejriwal,
Who is a leader from a completely different part of the country. I mean, he is the former chief minister of Delhi.
Right. And Lopez's report gives us the exact reason why Stalin invited Kejriwal all the way down to Tamil Nadu. Stalin explicitly stated he invited him because he sees Kejriwal as a leader who continues his struggle against, and I'm quoting Stalin here, the fascist BJP.
So right out of the gate, the alliance between these two distinct leaders is framed entirely around a shared opponent.
Yes.
And to understand Kejriwal's strategy here, we need to quickly anchor the players on the board. The main opposition alliance they're fighting is called the NDA, the National Democratic Alliance.
Which is usually a coalition, right?
Traditionally, yes. It includes a massive, powerful national party, the BJP, and their regional ally in the state of Tamil Nadu, which is a local party called the AIADMK.
But, and this is where it gets wild, Kejriwal tells the crowd to look closer at that arrangement. He essentially says the coalition is a mirage.
He completely dismantles the idea of an equal partnership.
Right. I'm quoting the report here. He says, the NDA is not the AIADMK and the BJP. The NDA is only the BJP. The AIADMK is in the grip of the BJP.
Wow.
Yeah. He's telling the voters that the regional party they have known for decades has been entirely captured by the national giant.
What's fascinating here is the deliberate erasure of the local party's autonomy. I mean, Kejriwal goes even further, stating that bringing the national party to the state is the local party's biggest crime against the people.
The biggest crime. That's strong language.
Very strong. And he explicitly claims that the people of Tamil Nadu hate the BJP and do not want them operating in their state.
And he doesn't just leave that as some abstract theory either. He actually gives the crowd a historical warning to prove his point.
Right, he points to another state entirely.
Yes, Bihar. According to the report, Kejriwal uses the leader of Bihar, Nitish Kumar, as a cautionary tale. He tells the crowd that Nitish Kumar was the chief minister till yesterday, but today he's been reduced to a Rajya Sabha member.
Now, for listeners who might not be intimately familiar with the Indian parliamentary system, let's translate why that specific example lands so heavily with the crowd.
Please do, because honestly, moving to parliament sounds like a promotion to most people.
Right, on paper, the Rajya Sabha is the upper house of India's parliament. It is highly prestigious.
Okay.
But in the context of raw, on-the-ground political power, it is essentially a demotion.
Wait, really?
Yeah. A chief minister is the executive of a state. They hold the purse strings. They direct the state police. They implement the welfare programs. They have direct, daily control over millions of lives.
So they are making the actual day-to-day decisions.
Exactly. Moving a local leader to the Rajya Sabha is essentially benching them. It takes them out of the executive driver's seat and puts them in a legislative committee far away in the capital.
Oh, I see. It's like you take a local leader out of the governor's mansion and you stick them in a fancy waiting room. They look important, but they can't actually do anything for their home state anymore.
That's a great way to picture it, yeah.
And Kejriwal predicts that this exact same fate is waiting for the AIADMK in Tamil Nadu. He warns that the local party will be broken into 3 parts and the national party will just completely take over the remnants.
It's a grim prediction.
To keep this simple to understand, I mean, it sounds exactly like a business warning. He's telling voters that the local familiar brand, the AIADMK, has been secretly bought out by a massive multinational, the BJP, and the local board of directors is about to be dismantled.
That analogy fits perfectly.
But I have to ask you, from a political science perspective, how effective is this specific strategy for swaying voters? I mean, does telling a voter that their local brand is compromised actually change their behavior at the ballot box?
What's fascinating here is that it demands a massive psychological pivot from the voter.
Yeah.
And it can be highly effective.
Really?
Yeah, because usually local elections are fought on local issues between local personalities who have decades of bitter history with each other. A voter might have legitimate day-to-day grievances with the current local government.
Right, like we said earlier, potholes, trash collection, things like that.
Exactly. But if you convince that voter that the alternative local option is actually just a puppet for an outside force, the entire narrative changes. You shift the focus away from local rivalries and frame the election as a defense against outside control.
So it stops being a debate over who fills the potholes better.
Precisely. It becomes a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
By framing it as a hostile takeover, you synthesize a larger existential threat that overshadows standard political grievances. Yeah. You are forcing the voter to think, I might not love everything the current local leader does, but at least they answer to us, not to a boardroom 1,000 miles away.
Okay, but the corporate takeover analogy only goes so far, right? Because eventually, voters want to know how this abstract power struggle actually affects their wallets.
Which is exactly where Kejriwal pivots next in his speech.
Yes. He moves from the high-level political chess match down to actual kitchen table economics.
Because according to his rhetoric, it isn't just about who sits in what parliamentary seat. It is about everyday, tangible survival. Why does this takeover actually matter to the listener or the voter? Because every day, welfare is on the line.
The rhetoric definitely moves from the clouds down to the dirt. It becomes about governance and the direct distribution of resources.
The report lays out exactly what is at stake by detailing the specific welfare programs currently being run by Chief Minister M.K. Stalin's DMK government.
Right, and Kejriwal praises these heavily. He does, and we are talking about highly specific, targeted economic relief here. According to the report, Kejriwal highlights that almost 1 crore, which is 10 million women who are the heads of their family, are receiving 1,000 rupees a month.
The scale of that is just staggering. 10 million households receiving a direct cash transfer every single month.
He also points out the chief minister's scheme at schools, specifically providing breakfast for students. And he notes that girls receive 1,000 rupees a month for higher education after passing out of school.
Notice how strategic this list is, though.
What do you mean?
Well, it isn't a vague campaign promise of, a stronger economy or better infrastructure. It is literal cash in hand for female heads of households. It is a hot meal for a child before they sit down to learn.
Ah, I see. It's undeniable.
Exactly. When you introduce a school breakfast program, for example, you aren't just feeding a child. You are freeing up the maternal labor time required to prepare that meal. You are guaranteeing a baseline of nutrition that statistically increases school attendance. These are programs that fundamentally alter the daily calculus of a family's budget.
And Kejriwal emphasizes that no other state is implementing schemes quite like this. He is building up this fortress of local welfare to establish how good the voters have it right now.
Side and baseline, yeah.
Exactly, because he is doing it to set up his primary warning. He tells the crowd that if they mistakenly choose the NDA, BJP, or AIADMK, the opposition's intention is to, and again, using his words, loot the people and stop all this good work.
The contrast he's drawing there is deliberately stark. On one side, a guaranteed breakfast for your children. On the other side, the complete dismantling of that support system by an outside force.
And to prove that this isn't just empty campaign fear-mongering, Kejriwal does something that I found truly surprising. He offers his own territory as the ultimate cautionary tale.
Yeah, he brings up Delhi.
He does. He tells the crowd in Tamil Nadu that a year ago, Delhi made a mistake by voting for the BJP, and he claims the consequences have been immediate and severe.
He is laying his own state's struggles out in the open, which is rare.
It really is. He says the schools that were started in Delhi have been stopped. The free medicines and treatments they offered have been halted. And perhaps most viscerally, he says they used to have free electricity, but now people are suddenly getting utility bills amounting to thousands of rupees.
That's a huge hit to a household budget.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because I have to push back on this tactic.
Oh, let's hear it.
Is it not a massive, glaring risk for a politician to travel across the country, stand on a different leader's stage, and openly admit that things have gone terribly wrong in their own backyard?
I see where you're going with this.
I mean, traditional political PR dictates that you only ever project strength, right? You never admit the ship is taking on water. Even if Kejriwal is blaming the opposition party for those failures in Delhi, doesn't telling a crowd, my state is a mess right now, project a fatal sense of vulnerability?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of behavioral psychology and politics, it is actually a highly calculated projection of authenticity through vulnerability.
Authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are right that the old playbook says you never admit weakness. But voters are increasingly cynical about politicians who claim everything is perfect. By pointing to the alleged loss of free electricity and medicine in Delhi, Kejriwal is attempting to make the potential loss of the breakfast scheme or the stipend in Tamil Nadu feel like an imminent real-world threat rather than just political posturing.
So the vulnerability builds trust.
It builds immense credibility. By admitting that things have been dismantled in Delhi, he's essentially sacrificing his own aura of invincibility to make the threat real. It's the political equivalent of rolling up your sleeves and showing the crowd your scars. He is saying, I have stood in the fire and I have the burns to prove it.
Wow. That bridges the gap between the abstract corporate takeover we talked about earlier and the very real reality of a massive utility bill arriving in your mail.
Exactly.
If they take over the board, they aren't just changing the logo on the building, they're coming for your family's health benefits and your kids' breakfast.
And the mechanism powering this entire argument is a concept from behavioral economics known as loss aversion.
Oh, like Daniel Kahneman's theory.
Precisely. The core principle of loss aversion is that human beings feel the psychological pain of losing something twice as powerfully as they feel the joy of gaining that exact same thing.
Right, so finding 20 bucks in your coat pocket feels good, but having 20 bucks fall out of your pocket and blow down the street just ruins your entire week.
That is the exact math of human emotion. And in politics, people are far more motivated by the fear of losing a benefit they already rely on, like a 1,000 rupee monthly stipend, than they are by a politician promising to create a brand new program.
That makes total sense.
Kejriwal is weaponizing this proven psychological principle by saying, they took away my state's free electricity and they are coming for your breakfast next. It triggers a powerful defensive response.
It really is a brilliantly constructed narrative arc when you break down the mechanics of it. You start with the high-level chess match, warning that the familiar local ally has been swallowed whole by the national giant.
Right.
You cite a historical example like the demotion of Nitish Kumar in Bihar to prove the takeover is real, then you immediately bring the stakes down to the micro level, the household budget.
Reminding them of the specific cash and food they're currently receiving.
Exactly. And finally, you use your own home state struggles as the definitive proof that those daily benefits can vanish overnight if the wrong vote is cast.
It is a complete strategic package. It is designed to tightly weave regional pride together with basic economic self-preservation. You protect the state by protecting your own kitchen table.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Why should you care about the granular details of a campaign speech given in Chennai?
That's a great question.
It matters because it completely demystifies how modern political messaging operates. It shows you the exact blueprint of how politicians attempt to connect abstract, high-level party alliances directly to your daily life, literally, your breakfast or your electricity bill.
It proves that all politics, no matter how grand the national narrative might be, ultimately has to answer the most grounded question possible. How does this affect my family's survival today?
Which brings us to the core of the issue and leaves us with something really profound to chew on. We've spent this time analyzing how politicians frame these alliances and use loss aversion to protect local welfare. But it forces you to look deeply at an electorate's ultimate priorities.
This raises an important question about the hierarchy of voter needs. We often assume elections are battles of pure ideology.
Right, and this is the thought we want to leave you with today, a question to mull over on your own. If local, tangible welfare schemes, like a monthly stipend or a school breakfast, are ultimately the primary deciding factor for voters, does the actual name or ideology of the political party in power matter less than the immediate economic relief they deliver to the household?
That is the ultimate tension right there.
I mean, if the breakfast is reliably on the table every morning, does a voter truly care what logo is printed on the napkin?
When resources are on the line, ideology often takes a backseat to security.
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us to unpack this incredibly complex, yet ultimately very human political dynamic. We loved breaking down this source material for you, and we hope you found the underlying strategies as fascinating as we did. Stay curious, keep looking past the political jargon, and we will catch you next time for another deep dive.